Morning, everyone. My name is Sherb Brown. I'm with Bobbitt Business Media, and welcome to New Paradigms in Driver Safety. Our goal today, first of all, we want this to be an interactive panel. We've got a great resource here with these speakers, so I encourage you, if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand and ask them. Our goal here today is to give you an idea of what safety looks like from a fleet perspective, from the insurance perspective, and from the safety provider's perspective. The purpose of our panel is to discuss new ideas, programs, and best practices to ensure that organizations have qualified drivers for professional and gray fleet for behind the wheel. And I guess our first question will be, what are the biggest challenges outside of vehicle improvements that your organizations are currently facing or your customers are currently facing in terms of driver safety? I'll start with Rich Crawford.
Yeah, I can speak on behalf of many prospects and customers who I talk to, and what we hear consistently is their biggest challenge is how do I collect and coordinate and manage and sort of address policy. So a big part of the challenge that I think our customers have is there's a lot of information thrown at them, and actually quite a bit coming from the vehicle as well. And how do I collect it, normalize it, correlate it, make sense of it, and make some decisions? How do I take action on that? So in fact, we were talking to Damon and Monica about some of their challenges, and we talked quite a bit about that issue that they have. They want to make the right decision, but how can they? And are they applying these decisions consistently across all drivers, all locations, all types? So I think it's becoming a very difficult problem. I think the intent that I see across our customers and really the whole marketplace is, I want to do more, I want to do better, I want to take action, I want to be definitive, but it's a real big challenge to say I've got all the information absolutely in place, it's consistent, and I have the source of truth. I don't run the risk of either internal legal issues or FCRA issues or union issues, so I think there's a lot of hesitation that I hear, that I have everything together at my fingertips and I can absolutely make the right decision to impact my organization positively. So that's kind of not so much my view, but the view that I hear quite consistently across our customer prospect base. Yeah, so I think from our perspective, and we're very careful not to suggest or really consult on policy. Our role is not to sort of advise our clients, but our role is to listen to what they want to do and then make sure that the data and the software and the workflows and the triggers are there so they can do the right thing. Now, I'll give you an example. University of California system, which has at this point, I think, thousands of their drivers, professional, occasional drivers on the system. We've been able to, because what they wanted to do was looking at a distracted driving or use of cell phone violation, they want to equate that to as similar as like a DUI. So they want to elevate the risk of that citation, on the same level as a DUI. So we're able to do some custom scoring and things like that. So our role is to really, kind of listen to our customers, whatever they want to do, and then make sure that we can modify either the data or the software or elevate those things so they can take that action that we talked about previously.
We're seeing a lot of fleets trending towards going to reimbursed vehicles rather than fleet vehicles, and consequently, we're developing a larger kind of gray fleet, as a lot of people refer to it in the industry. And I'm wondering if you guys can address how your clients or how you're managing that internally, and if there are any specific issues that relate to reimbursed driver versus a company car driver. Rich, you want to take that?
Yeah, so we're definitely seeing the trend where companies are looking to identify different types of drivers. It's very clear one is CDL, and we've got federal regulations and things that we have to do. It's pretty clear when you have a professional driver, someone who drives on behalf of their company and doing it either all day or most every day. It's a little bit less clear if I've got someone on occasion driving or driving their own vehicle, but we're seeing the trend where companies are understanding and fleet managers are understanding that those drivers carry just as much liability with the least amount of visibility. And so because of that, we're starting to see, you know, if we can implement safety programs and either data or technology get more visibility, they are trying to wrap up or pull those drivers in as well and start to actively manage those.
Okay, one of the issues that we address regularly in at this event and we address in our magazines quite a bit is culture and trying to promote a safety culture within an organization. And I'd like to have you guys address that just briefly. What kind of steps can people take to generate a safety culture within their business? I know our keynote speaker this morning had a great point. He said, make it somebody else's problem, and I think that's a good starting place. But you guys want to elaborate on that or speak to that, Rich?
Yeah, so I think that's a really big issue. In fact, you know, we talk to a lot of people, and especially if we talk to let's call it a non-executive level. We're talking to, you know, fleet managers, safety managers, risk managers, someone in a middle management role who's very involved in, you know, operationalizing fleets and drivers and safety programs, and they recognize that, you know, there's more that they can do. And I think one of the challenges that we see is, you know, does the C-suite, whether it's a chief executive or chief financial officer, understand and recognize the risk, and then are they willing to take that on, to do something about that? And so I think it's a challenge. We also see in other cases where we happen to talk to, we can get to someone at that executive level, and immediately the light goes on. They recognize there's, you know, either negligent entrustment liability or vicarious liability, or they're not doing enough. And we get, you know, what we call, you know, single call closes. You get that aha moment at the executive level, and they say, you know, we're not doing enough. We recognize the gap. I want you to, you know, interact with my team and get something done. So we kind of see it go both ways. It's hard to push it up the organization to get the recognition and get the commitment, but, you know, if at the top, yeah, it's understood. Yeah, I heard Mike Pitcher talk yesterday about distracted driving and a cell phone ban. Well, he's a CEO, and as he said, you know, I can make that pronouncement, and then it goes across the organization. We can change, you know, policy and culture very quickly. But I think it's a challenge that we all face. I know I talked to, again, quite a number of groups and prospects and customers, and some get it, some don't, and I just think it's a very fluid situation now, and I don't think there's any one kind of standard or one way that all customers are saying, here's the culture, here's the policy, we're all going to go, you know, in that direction.
Rich?
Yeah, no, I agree on technology. It's kind of interesting. I think it's both counterintuitive and actually hypocritical, because we're talking about technology that's going to help the driver, yet we throw more and more at a driver, both in terms of entertainment and supposed safety systems. I actually read studies that, you know, sort of these cars that drive themselves, you know, create this situation where the driver assumes less control and perceived less risk. I remember, you know, growing up or living a lot in Colorado when four-wheel drives became prevalent in Colorado. You had everyone buy a four-wheel drive and blast up the mountain or down the mountain. You can go faster, you just can't stop any faster if you're on a hill and it's snowy and icy. So we have these systems that we're starting to introduce, but I don't think it's going to make one iota difference in terms of what creates a wreck. It's going to be a driver. It's 90% today, it was 90% yesterday, it'll probably be 90% tomorrow, and probably 5 years from now. So I think, you know, how can we impact that in the face of more distractions? You know, it certainly could be policy, it certainly could be, you know, execution of that policy, but I think, you know, we have to be a lot more active. We're going to take a more active role, because if we're passive about this, say, well, you know what, Toyota put a great system in the car, it'll take care of it for me. No, it won't. So we have to continue to be active, and the only way we can be active, I think, is to leverage this technology. Let's use the information coming out of the vehicle, the motor vehicle records, you know, traffic violations, all of that, and build comprehensive systems and present, you know, kind of a single view or visibility, so these people, you know, at the end of the table, and Rich, you know, who represents employers, can take action. You want to take action, and you don't want to wait. You don't want to wait 6 months or a year and realize that something happened a long time ago. You know, can you even take an action now? So it's a cause and effect. We have to be more proactive. We have to be actionable. And I think the technology is the only thing that's going to help us do that. In a case, there's a lot of onboard computers, data coming from a lot of places, but then our view is software and systems and consolidating and building comprehensive solutions is going to help you as managers and directors of this, implement your policy, execute your policy, and then do kind of this full audit trail. And then I think the other thing that we're going to see in the next 5 years is you can decide what you want your policy to do and how you want it to act, and then you're going to have systems really take control. It may auto-enroll, it may trigger an email, it may trigger even a device that locks someone out of a car so they can't even get into it when they're pulling on the door handle to get in, because now technology is helping you implement the things that you want to have happen, that you need to have happen to kind of manage your fleet, manage your drivers, and create this safety culture. Let me give a short case study. So City of Santa Fe, New Mexico, we're a New Mexico-based company, been a customer for years, implemented this monitoring program, getting very active with their drivers and driver management. And it's really about certainly the driver and understanding the risk profile they represent. But it's also about, and kind of Monica mentioned, I've never heard of someone bagging into a lake, but bagging into telephone poles and things like that. And these things cost money. What they did, they took this data, this kind of system and active data capability, implemented that, and over the course of several years, weeded out the very worst drivers. And you probably know in New Mexico, unfortunately, we have a big DUI problem. So, but they weeded those people out very quickly. If you had a DUI, you were terminated. Risky drivers, they changed their behavior. The best drivers, obviously, they pat them on the back and they kept doing what they were doing. But they did this over a course of several years, and their broker then, upon renewal, shopped their overall policy, and the City of Santa Fe saved $1 million. I think it was $1.2 million, $1.3 million, something like that, after years of this active management program. So, and that's very black and white. If I spent X dollars on a claim in previous years and I'm spending a lower rate in newer years, when you go back out and rebind or requote that policy, you're going to see the rate reflective of your experience. I mean, that's just the way insurance works. I have claims, and I got to make sure my premiums are above claims. If my claims are lower, my premiums are going to come down. It's a very simple cause and effect, structure. So Santa Fe did this. There's a multi-year program, and they're seeing the results of that, and they're actually generating, significant savings for a city of that size.
All right. Well, thank you all very much. Appreciate your time. Thank you, guys.